And I do like the idea with instead of a debt clock, we have like an asset and revenue clock, which puts these guys
Clock,
in check. So I like that.
which you can get all the information, which you can get all the information from the Z1 report raw data tables. You have to look at the raw data tables to get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep talking solutions.
Yeah, well, the thing on taxation, in reality, has probably been around for 15,000 years, back to the caveman days. It's just changed in form and application. They haven't worked out to a fine-tooth comb nowadays. But what I am doing, I'm the first person on the earth that I know of that's working to eliminate taxation across the board. And, it's not a complex thing. It's setting up fiduciary trust accounts to meet the budgetary requirements for that local government. I'd recommend starting on a school district first because, most of the property taxes go to the school district. So you set up a fiduciary trust fund to meet the school district's budget where no taxation is used, period. You can do it for the city, the county, and the state. Slowly and incrementally. If you get a county, you can make sure that they notify all cities and townships and school districts in the county. Do you want to participate? Do you want to participate? Do you want to participate? Getting up to the state level, that's a complex venture because you have, like I said, Los Angeles County. All the local governments in Los Angeles County total was about $1.8 trillion. When you look at a state, it's quite an intricate venture to coordinate. But it can be done. It's fundamental application. As I mentioned, government had no problem doing it for themselves on their own pension funds, which is setting up a fiduciary trust fund to meet a specific goal, which was paying their salaries and benefits at retirement. Government employees, when they retire, they get 80% of their last salary and get all their health care and everything else covered. And if you look at the employees in a city or county, the cost of the budget usually somewhere around 55-60% to pay the employees. They've had no problem whatsoever benefiting themselves. So this, yes, resistance is going to be there. But the bottom line is they already have the model in place for 100 years.
Right.
They know how to establish fiduciary trust funds, how to fund them, the whole 9 yards.
Hey, Walter, on one of our calls, you told me about how the federal income tax withholding basically gives them investment money during the year, and they make a return on all of that they collect. And so one of the big exposés is to show this, and that we should be getting yield on them taking tax withholdings. Talk about that.
Well, that's like saying organized crime that's charging 35% to a restaurant to do business. Well, the restaurant should be getting 100%. But on federal government, they go a little further than what you're saying. Have you ever noticed how they want a Social Security number issued for a baby before it leaves the hospital? Yeah. They get the mother to fill out they do that now for the last 10, 15 years as principle to get a Social Security number for a baby, an infant. The reason being is, they do their actuarial projections. A person during his lifetime will generate 3.5, 4 million, 5 million in taxes. So that gives us a credit line of $5 million. So for every child born and every person, they utilize that potential income to expand their own credit line. But can people get a piece of it? Highly doubtful, because they're not the ones that set it up. When government creates a financial structure, they have all of the attorneys dot the I's and cross the T's. They have their own private associations that give the accounting guidelines for doing so. And, they created it, we're going to keep it, is their attitude. What I mentioned on the TRFA fund, that's something that the public will create. And the public will make sure it happens sooner than later. And all of the information, the management teams, the actuarial projections are all in place right now. Because you're going to model the fiduciary trust funds the same as they model their pension funds. And it's just a different purpose for the investment return. Not to pay their salaries and benefits, but to pay the ongoing budgetary obligations for the city, township, county, or school district. And, it'll happen very quickly. Now, in the TRF fund application, I'm going to restrict where at least, 40% has to be reinvested in the local venue. You want a mortgage for your house? 2.5%. Want a new car? 2.5%. If you have an excellent credit rating, the TRFA funds will back it. It's directly designed to benefit the population. You have a pool, they're charging a family membership fee. It'll subsidize that to where it's brought down to close to zero. Because you're a fiduciary trust fund, you design what the return will go for. What the targets are.
Right.
And it meets those targets. But the bottom line is it pays out all taxation. And when you have no taxation in a venue, you have a thriving economy. More money for the population to spend. Taxation's the burden of is off their shoulders. You have higher investment returns coming in on the investment funds, more cash rolling in for the local government. It creates a prosperous economy. And, I think I mentioned this to you once before, for people that follow the Bible, they always talked about the millennium, 1,000 years of prosperity for one and all before God returned. Well, the millennium has not taken place. There's never been prosperity for one and all in the world, ever, not even close to it. The TRFA funds are applicable to any country in the world. I have people from Canada that want to start off, New Zealand, Australia, and so forth, Ireland, and even a couple of people in the UK. So, it can take off worldwide in a very short time. And when you have that prosperous of an economy going worldwide, you have the potential for the start of the millennium. Prosperity for one and all for 1,000 years.
Yeah,
that's why I never deviate, never give up, because I know the importance of what I'm doing and to get it done.
Right. One of the big things I'm taking away from what you're talking about here is it's a path back to real property ownership. Right, we get out from underneath this property tax scam, and then people start to actually own their property again. So.
Yeah, when you have property tax, you don't own. You're a renter. Period.
Oh.
What's the biggest?
Sales tax. Most states are at 8.5% now. A lot of businesses don't even make 8.5%. So you talk inflation. They have to jack up their prices. To meet, the sales tax and everything else, it's draining the economy. It goes from the public's pocket right into the government coffers.
Right. They're profiting directly off of our productivity, and then they're taxing us on our productivity at the same time.
Yeah, government's focused on taking the productivity of the population for the last, 100 years. And they get a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And if you actually broke down everything you bought and everything, service you got, taxation, when you consider all aspects, is the primary cost. The manufacturers to the retail outlets, the whole 9 yards. And then they get hit with the final taxation, sales tax, 8.5%. Yeah, it's not right. And it can be canceled out, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to take some pretty good focus, some good funding, and my effort, my team's effort to target one city, one county, one state after another. I had a few politicians say, a couple of congressmen, a treasurer, what do you want us to do? Give everybody everything for free? And my reply was, there by the grace of God and the taxpayer go thee. You're not giving them anything for free. You're being responsible to them to take the burden of taxation off their shoulders by being responsible. They never asked me that question again.
Yeah, it seems like the more appropriate way to invest in a commons.